Chapter 30. The Red Tube. Meyer staggered to his feet, but his legs gave way. He sat on the floor of the bunkhouse, shaking. "Leave me alone," he whimpered. "I am doomed." "Now, Mr. Meyer," said Lucy sternly, "this kind of behavior won't get your life rescued, will it? Wolf-Boy and I will carry you." "We will?" asked Wolf-Boy. "Yes, we will," said Lucy. So they did. They carried Meyer, who happily was even lighter than he looked, down the scarily shaking steps until at last they reached firm ground in the well of the lighthouse. Gently they set him back down on the earthen floor and got their breath back. "Through there," said Meyer, pointing to two narrow doors, one black, one red, hidden in the shadows under the last turn of the steps. "Open the red one. Then come back for me. I must rest for a few moments." Wolf-Boy took the lamp from its holder on the wall and held it up for Lucy so that she could see to unlock the door. The key turned easily, and Lucy pushed the door open. The smell of the sea hit them, and far below they heard the wash of the waves. Lucy caught her breath in amazement. Wolf-Boy, who was usually not impressed by much, whistled in surprise. "What is that?" he muttered. "That is the red tube," came Meyer's voice from the lighthouse. He sounded amused. "It is the rescue boat." "That's not a boat," said Lucy. "That's—" She trailed off, unable to find the words to describe the huge red capsule in front of her. Wolf-Boy stepped up to the red tube and gingerly gave it a poke. "It's metal," he said. "But how can it be metal if it's a boat?" said Lucy. Wolf-Boy scraped a spot of rust off with his fingernail. "But it is, you know," he said. "It reminds me of those stories about people in olden times who used to fly to the moon and things like that." "Everyone knows they're not true," said Lucy. "How could you possibly fly all the way up to the moon?" "Yeah, well, of course they're not true. Obviously." Lucy stuck out her tongue. "But I used to like the old stories all the same," said Wolf-Boy, tapping the side of Meyer's boat. It rang like a bell. "We had a nice chief cadet for a while, before they found out that he was nice, and put him in a wolverine pit for a week. Anyway, he used to tell us moon stories, and they were all about things like this." The red tube lay cradled between two metal lattice platforms that came halfway up its sides. It was, Wolf-Boy guessed, about 15 feet long, and had a line of tiny, thick, green glass windows punctuating the sides, and a larger one in the front. Through the glass, Wolf-Boy could just about make out the shapes of high-backed seats that were unlike any seats he had ever seen before. The red tube rested on two sets of parallel metal rails. The rails extended for about 20 feet, and then took a steep turn downward, and descended into the dark, toward the sound of the waves. Wolf-Boy and Lucy peered down, and the lamplight caught the glint of metal rails disappearing into black water. "We can't possibly go in that thing," said Lucy, her voice echoing in the cavern. "But how else are we ever going to get off this lighthouse?" asked Wolf-Boy. "Swim?" "Crumbs," Lucy said, before falling uncharacteristically silent. Meyer walked shakily through the red door and joined them on the metal platform beside the red tube. "Please open the pilot hatch," he said, pointing to the smallest and furthest of 4 hatches ranged in a line along the roof. "Push on the black button in front of it and it will open." Feeling as if he were in one of the chief cadet's stories, Wolf-Boy leaned over the rescue boat and pushed a black circle of some rubbery kind of metal that was set flush with the metal of the roof. With a faint whir, the oval hatch flipped open smoothly, and a smell of iron and damp leather came from inside the capsule. Cat-like, Meyer jumped onto the red tube and disappeared down through the hatch. Lucy and Wolf-Boy watched through the thick green windows as the fuzzy shape of Meyer strapped itself into the tiny seat in the nose of the red tube, and then, in what seemed to be a well-practiced maneuver, began turning an array of dials in front of him. Slowly Meyer's hatch closed, and Lucy wondered if he was going without them. Looking down at the stomach-churning drop, she thought that she really wouldn't mind if he did go without them. But no such luck. Suddenly Meyer's oddly distorted voice came crackling into the air. How, Lucy and Wolf-Boy had no idea. "Embark now, please." Meyer's disembodied voice filled the cavern. The larger hatch, behind the pilots, swung open. "Make haste. The capsule will release in 1 minute." 1 minute? Lucy gasped. 59 seconds. 58. 57. Meyer's countdown began, but Wolf-Boy and Lucy hung back. 50. 49. 48. "Oh, crumbs. We're stuck here if we don't," said Lucy, looking panicky. "Yeah." 41, 40, 39. We might never get off the lighthouse. Ever. Yeah. 33, 32, 31. And we said we'd rescue the light. You said, you mean. 25, 24, 23. Well, get in then. You first. 19, 18, 17. Oh, crumbs, hurry up! Lucy clambered onto the rounded metal top of the rescue boat, took a deep breath, and dropped through the hatch. She landed on the seat behind Myers, though she could see nothing of its occupant, as the wide padded headrest concealed his neat sealskin-clad head from view. Lucy looked out the thick green window and saw Wolfboy hesitating on the platform. 11, 10, 9. Myers' voice was loud and clear inside the rescue boat. Get in! Lucy yelled at the top of her voice, and rapped sharply on the glass. 7, 6. For goodness sake, get in now! Wolfboy knew he had to do it. He suspended all hope of surviving for more than another minute, and jumped in. He landed with a bump next to Lucy, and felt as if he had landed in his coffin. The hatch closed above him, and nailed his coffin lid shut. 5, 4. Fasten seatbelts, please, said Meyer. All crew must wear their seatbelts. Lucy and Wolfboy fumbled with 2 thick leather straps, and buckled them across their laps. Lucy realized that something must have told Meyer that they were fastened, as the Catman did not look around but continued his countdown. 3, 2, 1, release! The red tube set off deceptively slow along the first 20 feet of rail. Then it tipped forward. Lucy felt sick. Wolfboy screwed his eyes shut tight. There was a jarring clang as the boat's nose hit the rails, and they were off. The red tube was down the rails in less than 2 seconds. They hit the water with a deafening bang, and then, to Wolfboy's horror, they kept right on going, down, down, down into the blackness, just as he had done so many years ago that night in the river, when he had fallen from the young army boat. And then, just as had happened on that night in the middle of the river, the terrifying dive leveled off, the water loosened its hold, and like a cork they began to rise to the surface. Beautiful green light began to shine through the tiny windows, and a moment later, in a fountain of dancing white bubbles, they broke the surface and sunlight flooded in. Wolfboy opened his eyes in amazement. He was still alive. He looked at Lucy. White-faced, she managed a flicker of a smile. Launch complete, said Meyer, his voice still eerily crackly. Surface successful. Hatches secure. Commence controlled dive. And to Lucy and Wolfboy's dismay, the red tube began to sink once more. The sunlight changed to green, the green to indigo, and the indigo transformed to black. Inside the capsule, a dim red light began to glow, giving a contradictory warmth to the chill that was seeping in from the cold depths of the sea. Meyer twisted around to speak to his passengers. His sealskin cap blended into the shadowy background, and his flat white face shone like a small moon. His big yellow eyes were bright with excitement. Meyer smiled, and once again his 2 lower canine teeth edged over his top lip. Lucy shivered. He looked very different from the pathetic creature collapsed on the bunkroom floor, whom she had so much wanted to help. She began to wonder if she had made a terrible mistake. "Why have we sunk?" she asked, trying to keep a tremor out of her voice, and not entirely succeeding. Meyer was obscure. "To find the light, first we must enter the dark," he replied, and turned back to his control panel. "He's gone bonkers," Lucy whispered to Wolfboy. "Nuts," agreed Wolfboy, who knew he had been right all along about the coffin. "Totally raving, screaming nuts."